במירון, שם רבי שמעון, אדוננו בר יוחאי. Yehi Ratzon, Erev Lag Baomer, Erev Parshat Emor. The learning should be l'refwat kol hacholim, for the atzlacha of all the chayalim, for the celebration of the first Shabbat of Idan with his family. Ezrat Hashem, soon all of us can see the lights of redemption clearly. Walking into Lag Baomer, we want to introduce two questions. What's the secret of fire? What is going on that we're celebrating with fires? We could also do it with steaks, candles, lulavs. How is celebrating with fire unique, special, and why now? And the second question, every one of us know that in Masechet Shabbat Daf Lag, Lamed Gimel, not hard to remember, is the story of Shimon Bar Yochai in the cave. And we can speak about it for years and years. So many symbols. But one of the questions I think that we have to ask ourselves, the first thing it says when he comes into the cave, is that he removes his clothing and he buries himself in the sand. And I think that both these questions will help us understand Lag BaOmer Be'ezrat Hashem. So the first is, what's going on that the first thing they do when they enter the cave is not learn Torah, they don't daven, they don't dance, they bury themselves in sand. And I think because they saw themselves as an extension cord of the generation. And the generation was living in a grave. People weren't interacting. Clothing are my conversation with people without words. If I'm wearing a kippah and tzitzit, I'm saying something. If I'm wearing a yellow shirt with green stripes, I'm saying something. And we could say, I don't care what people think, but the main interaction with the majority of human beings is your clothing. Removing the clothing is saying there's no interactions. The Jewish people are petrified from the Romans. They're in hiding. They're not interacting with their essence. Yeah, maybe they're going to their jobs, but they've forgotten their roots. They're not connected. They're scared of learning. I just had a sentence, one of the Chevrim, Rabbeinu Rabnit Rosenbaum, and he said, David Berger is learning all day long. And he said, because listen, he shattered his leg. So he has nothing better to do, so he's learning. So I started to cry. You really think he has nothing better to do, so he's learning? No, he realized that learning is his lifeline. That it's not an addition. They couldn't learn. They weren't allowed to open books. They didn't have books. You go to Noel Dayton when people are learning Daf Yomi. It's a lifeline. You can do it everywhere, anytime. We're not learning as a degree or fame. It's our being, it's our essence. The Jewish people couldn't do it. So he takes off his clothing. He says, we have no interactions. I want to experience on myself what other people are going through. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to give answers. I want to feel what it is that I have no interactions. No people talking. And so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is living in a time of despair. Everything is shattered. Everything is broken. Beit HaMikdash is gone. The Jewish people are not interacting. Torah, forget about it. And therefore, the essence of a Lag BaOmer is connected to Rabbi Akiva's students. Today, the biggest yeshiva is the Mir. 7,000, 8,000 students. Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 Zugot. Talmidim was the biggest Beit Midrash ever. Such a success, gone in 33 days. All of them. Can any of us imagine what that looked like? The most successful yeshiva of a time that had nothing except for that is gone. And so therefore the experience of Lag BaOmer is a little piece of wheat What's the Omer? When Rabbi Josh Lehman said, usually when you count towards. So why don't we say a Yom Yom Lamed Bet Likrat Ma'amad Har Sinai? Baomer, from that little piece of wheat, because that's really what's going on. We're realizing that we just have a little piece of wheat. Matan Torah, we don't want to say it out loud, but it's putting on a piece of cow. We're getting video by Marin Rabbeinu, Rabbi Hayden Greatstein. He's a sofer. He writes the letters of God on a piece of animal. An animal, a wheat. So we're counting from the wheat, from the animal food, from nothingness. We're in times where we lost all the students. We're in days, Baruch Hashem, I was so going to make a decision not to watch TV shows. Because they just control us. We lose our identities. But this one thing came on after 3 years called Hamezach. Hamezach was the last fort on the Sinai border in the Suez Canal that fought for 7 or 8 days against all odds by themselves. And you can see in the TV show that it's despair. There's nothing to hold on to. What do? They don't see it as nothing. They view themselves as everything. Uriah Mevorach is Tanya's great friend. She wrote the book together with another author, I don't remember his name, of One Day in October. And when she introduced the Sefer, she said it wasn't just about finding random stories. There was a theme. What was the theme? That when it was clear that there was an end, and people continued. Every story there, someone knew it was the end. So they sat on a couch and drank a cup of coffee to disguise the other people that were hiding so that they can live. Or a commander that looks and sees 900 terrorists and looks behind and sees 7 soldiers. And easily could just say, Chavra, lie down. And she didn't. She said there's no possible way to logically think that we're going to survive. Va'afal pichen. Maybe you could call it just One Day in October, Va'afal pichen. Okay, you're right. Logic, it's done. And even though, I'm not stopping. What's the secret of fire? Why are we celebrating with fires? What's a piece of wood? It's dead. And every fire that we'll ever see on this Lag BaOmer is coming from a piece of wood. From a piece of nothing, something dead, and a huge fire, light of God, is steaming out of it. It wasn't random, these fires. It was the essence of what it's all about. Yeah, there's no clothing left. Yeah, we're buried in sand. We're the last fort. We're fighting against all odds. And we defy logic by realizing that nothing is the beginning of everything. A piece of wood is the beginning of God. We should have that blessing and that bracha that, yes, so many people have been taken from us. So many dreams have been shattered. And it makes sense to give up. But at this Lag BaOmer, looking at that piece of wood, shooting out fire and light, reminding ourselves that no matter what wood we're looking at, it could be the beginning of the greatest bonfire in the world. Shabbat Shalom.